morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming out on this drizzly day.
Thank you.
Here in Westborough. Thank you, Westborough TV, again, for being here every month to make sure that people at home can see the broadcast. I know you don't want to hear from me too much today because we have Officer Polseno and his canine here, but I wanted to introduce Joseph Lawyer, our newest officer. He's with his FTO, his Field Training Officer, Greg McRae. He comes to us as a lateral transfer. He began his law enforcement career at the Worcester County House of Correction. He then went to Washington, D.C. He worked in District 7, a very tough area of Washington, D.C. for the Metro D.C. Police. He then worked in New Britain, Connecticut, I believe, for 4.5 years. And he's from Worcester. His family here is here in town and wanted to work closer to home. And we are thankful that he applied here in Westborough. Phenomenal police officer, going to have a great career here. Couple of updates. Just so you know, we have had some house breaks and some car breaks. We think we've identified who the individuals are out of state on the car breaks. We're still working on that. But we want to remind everyone to please lock up your vehicles. Don't leave anything in plain sight. Secure your homes. If you see something that looks a little out of place, a little suspicious, call us. We'd rather look into something and it be nothing than, it is something. We had the other day, a young man saw a cat in a carrier in a parking lot. Looked odd to him. Someone had abandoned the animal there. He contacted us in animal control, and we were able to bring the cat to safety and hopefully have the cat adopted by someone into a loving home. So if you see something, please say something. As we're coming out of COVID and back into it, obviously, traffic is still on an uptick. So I want to remind everyone that we have a strategic traffic enforcement program. Dominic Annunziata, our traffic officer. If you file an email, what your complaint is traffic related, he'll look into it. We'll do a traffic study and we'll get back to you with our findings. And again, we're always looking to hopefully expand that unit in time because we do have a lot of traffic related issues here in Westborough. As you know, they're building it and they're coming. So there's a lot of traffic here in town. So with that being said, again, remind you to follow us on social media if you have the ability to do so. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We kind of post a lot of things on there. For instance, yesterday, the traffic lights went out, on Route 9. So we were able to kind of give you a heads up to kind of avoid those areas. So, and like I said, we have the lighter side on there as well, but you can see some of the outstanding work that your offices are doing on a daily basis. Again, the block party's coming up next Friday, if you can make that. We're actually going to be having a dunk tank there with the police department, so you can dunk the chief in some of our offices if you like. We're going to be doing a fundraiser to help those in crisis. And like I said, thank you for having us here every month. Next month we're going to be, it was a suggestion that was made here about having someone come in and kind of do a home inspection program to be safe in your home and scams and all that. So we're going to have a couple of officers come in and put on that presentation for you. And again, thank you Westborough TV for getting that message out to the community. Without further ado, our illustrious canine officer, who's been extremely busy, had a couple of arrests in Webster last week, but I'll let him give you an update on his program. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. Thank you for having me again. My name's Polseno. I'm a patrolman with the Westborough Police Department. I've been here for 10 years, and I've been the canine handler for 2 years. Canine Lukas, who I'll bring in a little bit. I've learned from speaking in the community that it's kind of hard to have him with me in here the whole time when I'm trying to explain what we do and how the program works, because he's very anxious and he wants to work, and he doesn't understand when I just want to speak to people. He wants his ball, which I'll show you over there is what he lives for. So I've learned that I'll just spend a couple minutes explain what we have going on, what we've been doing for the last couple of years, and then I'll bring Lukas in. We'll do a short demonstration. Anybody have a quarter on them by any chance? And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring Lukas in a little bit. If somebody has a quarter, just take it out, just hold it in your hand. And rub it a couple times. And then in a little bit, we just need one. So what we're gonna do is, I'll explain some of the things that you can hold on to it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have you throw it out here. When I bring Lukas in, I'm gonna show you how he'll actually search for that. And he'll show me where it is. So we've been on the road for 2 years. We trained with Boston Police Academy, K-9 unit. Boston PD has approximately 25 dogs, so they have an actual K-9 training in-house program. They train outside agencies such as us. It's about 125 to 150 people in our training group. They range from departments up in New Hampshire, down to southern Worcester County, out to Boston, 495 belt, all different departments. Some of the most common questions I get with Lukas is, how old is he? He's 4 years old. He just turned 4 in April. He is a German Shepherd. He was imported from Czech Republic approximately 6 months before I got him. He was with a trainer for 6 months. Then we purchased him and we went to the K-9 Academy in Boston. Lukas lives with me. He comes home with me every night. He does not come in the house. He has his own kennel outside. So he actually stays outside all year round. If I'm not actively doing something with him, he's in his kennel. I want to touch on a couple things as I'm speaking today. Misnomers about police dogs, some of the stuff that bothers me that I've read articles about or I hear people talk about. One of them is just that it's cruel to have a dog in a kennel as I have Lukas at home. It's simply just not true. One of the things with dogs, and especially working dogs, canines, that people tend to do, because we all love our dogs. I have pet dogs at home. I love my dogs just as anybody else does. One of the things that we tend to do is we intend to sometimes impart our human emotions onto animals, which is easy to do, right? Like, because everybody loves our dogs, but you have to remember that he is a dog. He is a working dog. He comes from a long line of working dogs over 150 years over in Europe. So he is not a Labrador Retriever that you know a lot of us have at home that just wants you to cuddle him. What makes him happy in life is working. So, it really bothers me. I've read articles saying, that police dogs are not treated well, or they're not happy, or it's cruel. Nothing could be further from the truth. Like I said, I trained with over 100 dogs. You want to see the happiest dogs you've ever seen, come out and watch these dogs work. There's nothing in the world that makes them happier than getting out of that car and having a job to do, doing it well, and then when they do the job that we ask them to do, they're rewarded with this, which is a ball with a string on it. Seems very simple. You'll see, if you haven't seen, there's a lot of familiar faces, so I know people in here have seen Lukas. He lives for this ball. He will work for an hour at a task, say finding that quarter. If I threw it out in a soccer field, he will not stop. He will work for an hour because he knows when he finds that quarter that he's going to get this. So with that being said, as far as training and the happiness of these dogs, you'll see it when he comes in here. When he gets this, there isn't a happier dog than a working dog that has a purpose. He knows what his purpose is, and he's rewarded for that purpose. So all the training that we do, and this is another thing that bothers me, they say, training these dogs is cruel. It's just not true. Everything that we do with these dogs is positive reinforcement when we're training them. We don't hit, we don't scold. Like, if the dog's doing something that we don't want it to do, we simply ignore it. We don't injure the dog, hurt the dog, beat the dog, kick the dog. That does not happen. The dog is doing something that we don't want, we simply ignore it. And when the dog performs a task or does something that we like, we reward it. So everything we do, training police canines, is positive reinforcement. For Lukas, every dog's a little bit different, but for Lukas, everything he's rewarded is with his ball. Some dogs like food reward. For Lukas, it's very simple. It's this thing. This is all he cares about. So with that being said, we've been out of the patrol class for approximately 2 years. We've been on the road. We were on the road for a few months and we went back and went to narcotics detection class. So Lukas is trained in patrol techniques and also narcotics. Most police dogs are either trained in what we call a single purpose. So there are dogs that are trained in just narcotics. There are dogs that are trained in just patrol, but Lukas is a dual purpose dog. So he's trained in patrol techniques and narcotic techniques. So narcotics is the easy one. It's the detection of narcotics. So what we do is we imprint odors on the dog. And like I said this whole time, what happens is we train the dog over a period of time, it takes weeks, to detect an odor. When he finds that odor, we train the dogs to hone in on the source of the odor. So just say I put him into a car that has cocaine in it, hidden in the glove compartment. Put the dog in, you can tell instantly just by his behavior and how he wags his tail and how he's sniffing, like, oh, he's in odor. So he's trained to find the source of the odor. So you can watch him, and actually the same thing when we throw this quarter out on the ground. If you watch him, it happens very fast. You'll watch him, he'll be sniffing around the room, and he's gonna catch it, and like his head might snap, and then what he does is he hones in on the odor, and he'll get to the source, and then he's gonna indicate on it, which means either sit or down on it. So same thing with narcotics. If there was narcotics in this room somewhere, I could just, most of the stuff we do on leash, but I could let him off the leash, and you could watch him, he'll actually hone in on the odor, find the source of it, and then either sit or down, and then he's waiting for his reward. Because he knows when he finds that odor, finds the source of it, indicates which is sitting or down, telling me, hey, it's over here, he gets rewarded with this. So it's pretty simple. All the stuff that we have him do, he knows in his mind that when he completes that task, he gets his ball. So his drive to work, that's where it really comes from. Patrol, so when I say patrol work with a canine, it starts with obedience, heeling, sitting, downing, staying, all normal type things that people have their dogs do. We then do agility course, which is, if you may have seen on TV or something, dogs that jump over the fences and go under the tunnels and all that kind of stuff. We do all that with Lukas also. Then what we call an article search. So I'm going to show you today with this quarter, but really it could be anything that has fresh human scent on it. So Lukas, I give him one command, and he knows that he needs to search for something that has fresh human odor on it. So for us as police, it could be as simple as, I tell a story all the time when I was training him. We were in the woods and I dropped my cruiser keys in the woods. And I came back to my cruiser and I was like, oh. Because as you know, the fobs on the new cars are like $100 or more a piece. And I'm like, the chief's gonna kill me. I'm like, Chief, I need to go buy a new key, And then, because I am so smart, I realized I have Lukas. I was like, he finds things. So I brought him back out, did a simple article search like I'm going to show you. He actually found my keys. So it could be used for something as simple as that. Somebody just said he lost a cell phone, lost a set of keys when they were at out in one of the fields or something. But also for us, we can use it for evidence recovery. So if there was just say there was a stabbing and somebody ran away, we found him. He had a knife because he stabbed somebody. Where'd that knife go? I can send Lukas out, and he will search for something. To him, he doesn't know what it is. What the article is to him doesn't matter. He's searching for something that has fresh human scent on it. So we can send him out. He'll find the knife. He'll lay down on it and wait for me to come over because he wants this. He doesn't know that we're very happy with him because he just found a knife that was used in a crime. He could care less. He just wants this thing. So that's an article search. We can use that for many, many different things. We've had some success with it. We found evidence from crimes in town here, from a business break and things like that. So another thing that I'm going to talk about, like I said, things that I hear that bother me. So another thing is that police canine are attack dogs. It's not true. Lukas is trained in bite work. It's called apprehension. So, like you've probably seen on TV, dogs that, you know, police canines that go in and they grab onto the suspect and he's taken into custody. One of the things that I've heard multiple times is that police dogs are attack dogs. They rip people apart. It's barbaric, you know, all the on and on and on. So since I actually have videos since Lukas was born, well, 8-10 weeks when they start training the puppies, the dogs are trained to grab onto something and hold on to it. They're not trained to grab on and, you know, rip stuff off, rip clothes off. They're not trained to rebite. If the dog comes in and happens to grab on a suspect's leg, he's gonna grab on and he's gonna stay there. He's not gonna let go and then grab his arm, let go, grab his other arm, let go, bite the person in the body. He's been trained since he was very, very young. When he grabs onto something, that's it. Until sometimes it's even hard to get him to let go, but you know, through training and repetition, we can actually verbally out him now. So when he grabs onto something, without even doing anything other than telling him to oust, he will actually let go and then wait for his next command. So that's something that's important to keep in mind, I think, especially in the times that we're living in now, with police reform and all the other stuff going on, is the importance of canine and policing. People see it, as you do on TV, dogs that go in and grab onto suspects and, you know, bites and things. We've been on the road for almost 2.5 years. I have 0 bites. Just to say that again, myself and Lukas have been on the road patrol, looking for people, you know, everything in the police canine world, and Lukas has never bitten somebody. 0 times so far. I don't want Lukas to bite anybody. However, he is trained to apprehend people. So if we run into a situation, and it will happen, where we have a suspect that does not want to give up, does not want to be placed under arrest, Lukas can apprehend them and assist us with placing them under arrest. Completely lost my train of thought. So those are kind of the things I was thinking last night that I wanted to touch on. Just with everything going on, I wanted to bring all that stuff up. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
When I misplace my phone, can I call you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, he did it with my keys. You know, it
I'll be
happened.
calling you every day.
Every day? It's just like alarm calls, though. I think after the 3rd one, there is a like $25 surcharge or something. Good.
How did you know that that was what you wanted?
It's kind of almost bred into them.
That they want a ball like
Reward,
that, just
yeah.
like that?
Yep, so when we start training the dogs, there are differences. Some dogs like treats. They like just kibble. You know, just say when we're teaching the dog to heel, some dogs, they want food. They're more food oriented than
Tactile.
right. So with Lukas, I tried doing food stuff with him, and he didn't care.
Oh.
So it's, you know, every dog's a little bit different, but for him it's simple. It's just this thing. This is all he cares about, and it's pretty obvious when I bring him in. You'll see.
My question to you is,
Sure, Chief.
you went to Webster.
I
Why
did.
did you go to Webster? What other units are you attached to that you
Yep.
go to Webster, and why did they?
Chief Lloyd
why
has
did they want you?
a great question that I didn't touch on. So, with Westborough Canine, we're part of SEMLEC. I believe Officer McCrae was in here with the drone. I believe Sergeant Luce may have come in and talked about accident reconstruction. These are all things that are part of the SEMLEC, which is Central Mass Law Enforcement Council. Basically, simplest said, it's Worcester County. All the departments sign on to a mutual aid agreement. So there's different departments within that. So there's a K-9 team, there's a drone unit, there's a motorcycle unit, there is accident reconstruction. And basically what it is these are all the units that all the small towns couldn't do themselves. They don't have the manpower, it just simply could not happen. So with the power of everybody combined, such as the K-9 units, there's 25 K-9 units on SEMLEC. So we cover Worcester County, so I don't only respond to Westborough, I'll go anywhere in Worcester County that we needed within reason, you know, unless there's something really crazy going on. I'm not going to drive probably more than 30 to 40 minutes to get to a call. And it kind of works out because everybody's situated around Worcester County, all the different K-9 teams. So when we put a call out, whoever's closest normally will go. We respond all the time to neighboring towns, whether it be for narcotics detection, tracking suspects, article searches. Lately we've been busy. It's kind of hit or miss. You know, you'll go a couple weeks, we won't have any calls, and then get frustrated and bored, and then all of a sudden in 2 days, you know, I'll have 6 calls. So it comes with the territory. It is what it is. But for us, it's been very successful because what it comes down to is we help neighboring agencies, and then in turn they help us. So I may go to Webster a lot. Well, Webster has, Oxford has a drone unit. I go to Oxford too. So, you know, if somebody's not available for our drone, somebody from Oxford might come and help us. So, you know, it goes back and forth. It's not just us giving to the departments. The other departments also, you know, everybody pitches in. We kind of work together to do what we need to do. Go ahead.
Are your dogs like on 12-hour duty if something happens at night and you have a day dog? How is that arranged within the...
So we've talked and tried to do things like that, of having an actual on-call schedule, and simply it doesn't, logistically it doesn't work. So anytime I can come out to a call, I come out to a call. If I'm off duty, if I'm available, I'll come out. You know, things happen, you have family things going on or whatever. If I'm not available, I'm not available. And that's the beauty of the SEMLEC agreement, is that there is 20 other dogs out there. Sometimes we put out a call and nobody's available. It happens, not often, but it does happen. Other times we put out a call and 6 of us show up. So, you know, and I think that question is important because that's exactly why SEMLEC is important, is the fact that, you know, all the departments work together, we help each other out when the time comes. Go ahead.
What kind of food do you feed Lucas, and how often does he eat?
He has Purina Pro Plan, Sport, I think is what it is. So he's on a regular kibble meal. He eats twice a day. There are dogs, canine handlers, that feed their dogs all different kinds of things, including raw diets. I haven't seen any evidence that it's that beneficial to do because it's an enormous amount of work. So he eats regular dog kibble like any other dog. Yes, sir.
Arrived late, so I apologize if this question's already been answered.
No worries.
Last time I saw you was probably 3 or 4 years ago. And is this the same dog?
It is, yep. So he's 4 now. We've been on the road for a little over 2 years. I came I think right when I got him, or right after we got out of training. So we've been on the road now for about 2 years, 2.5 years.
So he also he's male.
He is male, yeah.
This is from Austria or something?
Czech Republic. He was imported from Czech Republic. He was with a trainer for about 6 months, and then he was purchased.
And they were all male, or all police?
No, that's actually a good question. Are all police dogs male? No. 95% I would say are male, and when a female police dog shows up, when we train 2 days a month. There's anywhere between 5 and 20 dogs that will show up, to train each day. When there's a female dog there,
Chaos.
yeah, you know it because all she has to do is go to the bathroom over there, and then every dog that comes out is like, "What's going on out here?" It's very distracting.
Just like high school.
That's what we
Sure. But with that being said, yes, there are female police dogs, and they are just as effective as male dogs. There was one in my patrol class, Quincy PD. Her name was Luna, and she was a small Malinois. Malinois are normally smaller than Shepherds, but she was small. I want to say she was 55 pounds maybe, and she was absolutely crazy in a good way, for police dog way. She was crazy. She was one of the best dogs.
Damn straight.
That's right. So yes, there are female police dogs. One thing that came to mind that I wanted to touch on that I didn't, just with the importance of having a canine. And as I touched on before, Lukas has not bitten anybody. We have absolutely been in situations where a suspect could have been bitten. I love saying 9 out of 10 times about a lot of things because it's true. 9 out of 10 times you have a suspect and you come in with a police dog and you tell that person, "You're under arrest, let me see your hands," and there's a police dog there, as you can imagine, most people are going to say, "Okay, where are we going? Let's go." Like, I don't want to meet that police dog, right? So, countless times that I've been on calls, one pops into my head in particular. At one of the hotels, I was by myself. We got called for an unruly person in the lobby. The staff at the hotel wanted him removed. He's been nothing but a problem. He's not welcome here anymore. I went in, started speaking with him. He was very irritated. He seemed like he was intoxicated. Spoke with him. Tried to he was very fired up. So I tried to de-escalate for 5 to 10 minutes, and he just kept getting more and more agitated. And it got to the point in my head, I'm thinking like I'm going to end up getting in a fight with this guy. Unfortunately, it does happen. Sometimes people don't want to listen. They don't want to calm down. It is what it is. So a backup officer arrived, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, I'm going to go get Lukas. You just try to keep him calm as much as possible." I walked out from here, out the door, got Lukas, walked back in. It was a completely different person that I was dealing with. I walked in with Lukas, and he looked down at Lukas, and he looked up at me and goes, "All right, we're going to go back to my room. I just got to grab my stuff, and then I'm going to get out of here." It was that simple. So my point is, the presence of a police dog is, I think, I'm new to this, like I said, 2 years, has been the most impressive thing to me so far, and I think a lot of the officers would agree with me. You bring that dog in, I could start telling stories, but the point is, the presence of a police dog, you bring that dog into a rough situation, somebody that either doesn't want to come with us, non-compliant, 9 out of 10 times, they're going to say, "All right, like, I was going to fight you guys, but I don't want anything to do with that dog." And I know that officers that haven't seen it, that are on a call with me, that see it, afterwards they're like, "Wow, like, what was that all about?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just, all I have to do is walk in, you'll see when I bring him in. You could say he's intimidating, but he's a police dog. He's doing his job, and he tends to make people compliant." So that's another one of the main things I wanted to touch on today. Go ahead.
Does Lukas have a bullet vest? And if so, when would you put that vest on?
He does. So the question is, does Lukas have a bulletproof vest or bullet-resistant vest? He does. I have one main one. So they make vests for police dogs, bulletproof vests. They're not really practical to have him wear all the time. He's usually just in a regular harness, like a leather harness. I've only put his vest on him a handful of times, and it was because we were going to look for somebody that we had reason to believe could be armed. You know, whether it be with a gun or a knife or any other thing that could have hurt Lucas. It's very kind of heavy and cumbersome. It's not something you'd want to put on, especially when it's hot out, that you'd want to put on him and have on him all the time. It's just not practical. But he does have a vest. It was actually donated by Mass Vesta Dog, if anybody's ever heard of that. It's a non-profit organization that anybody can donate to, and they buy vests and other equipment for police canines in Massachusetts. It's called the Mass Vesta Dog, if you ever come across that. It's a great place to donate to. They do a lot of work. Almost every canine unit that I know in the area has received something from them, whether it be a bite suit for training, other training supplies, bullet-resistant vests, and all kinds. So they don't do just vests. They also donate other equipment that we use. Go ahead.
Does Vesta Dog still give calendars? I know the pet shop, when it existed, used to carry it kind of under the counter.
They do. She's asking if Mass Vesta Dog has calendars. They do. They're still out there. They're usually $10, I think.
They used to be.
Somewhere around there. They do. And if you're wondering, I've not been in it yet. But all the calendar is
The dogs.
the handler and the dogs each month.
So when you're doing a search, do you always release the dog from the leash, or there are times you put the leash on the dog while the search is going on?
So this room is full of awesome questions. You know, I'm used to speaking with young kids, and I don't get as good at questions. So his question is.
Just trying to keep you on your game.
So his question is the dog always on a leash, or do I let him off the leash when we're doing a search? 99, I love the 9 out of 10 times. He's going to be on leash, or we say on lead, almost all the time. It would have to be like almost a dire circumstance where I would take him off the leash. It would have to be like a fleeing felon or somebody that like we really wanted to stop if I was going to send the dog after somebody. So the answer is almost all the time he is on lead. Even building searches, he's on a 30-foot leash. When we're tracking somebody, say through the woods, he's on a 30-foot leash. So he's going to be way out ahead of us to give us that buffer in case something does go wrong.
Can you shut that door?
Sure. So what I'm going to do is you want to take this. It doesn't matter if I know where it is. Rub it in your hand a couple times, and then roll it out here. So hopefully it ends somewhere in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Lucas in. He's very fired up today for something like even more than normal. So I'm going to bring him in. You'll see I'm just going to give him a simple command, and he's going to go right to work. And and hopefully he doesn't embarrass me. And he's going to find that. If you watch him, he's going to down on it, and then he's going to look at me, waiting for his reward, which was the ball.
So while he's getting his partner, a couple of things to share. One is, I was planning when I came here, believe it or not, coming on year 4, I was hoping by this time we would reinstitute a canine program here in Westborough because they didn't have one here. And in my previous employ, it was the first canine program ever. Basically, I utilized the Stanton grant. So the Stanton grant, basically we're up to probably close to $50,000. It purchased the dog, related equipment. It offset some of the overtime that we had to fill his shifts for when he was away for 13 weeks and then 8 weeks for narcotics school. So I'm very appreciative to the Stanton Foundation. And right now, Westborough is applying for a Stanton grant for a dog park here in town. We did that at my former employee as well. They gave us $220,000, and then we had to raise $20,000. We did it, nonprofit. So basically, we're 2.5, 3 years ahead of schedule for this program, and I just wanted to really recognize the Stanton Foundation for the Stanton grant. And this is our Lucas.
So this is Lucas. Like I said, he's gonna search for that quarter. He already knows that I want him to do something. So we normally do this on a 30-foot lead also. So all I have to, he's so used to staying pretty close to me. If we were in a large area, like a soccer field or something, all I have to do is just walk around with him and he'll kind of stay with me. So I hope everybody didn't have anything to do today, because he'll do this for an hour until I find him. It's all right. So speaking of happy dogs, this is a happy dog, right? Look at his tail going. He's busy, he's working. He's thinking about that ball. He's like, man, I can find this thing. I've only done this once and failed miserably. Every other time it's worked out. So. Okay, check. It's not under there, is it?
I think it is. It's behind it. Oh,
It's up against the wall.
yeah, it's behind it.
So if it was something bigger, say a knife or something, and it was hidden, it's no problem at all because there's a lot of odor on it. But as you can imagine, on the quarter, there's not a lot of odor on that, which is why I try to use it in here because it's a flat surface and he can't see it. He's using his nose to find it.
He knows it's around the piano.
No. Okay. Make this easy. Somebody have another one? Just throw it out anywhere anywhere on the floor here. With my luck, I'm gonna try to move that piano and it's gonna fall on the ground.
It's on,
Is it?
and paying very expensive money to put it on wheels so it would move easily.
Okay, now you can.
Yeah, and if you break it, you got it.
It's on again.
Of course.
Now it's confusing for 2 quarters.
Luke's here.
Other side. You're looking for something else.
Leave it. Come here. So, you can see when he found it, now he's ready. He wants his ball. He wants his reward, right? Oh, boy. Show me.
All right, that was something.
So in Lucas's mind, when he finds that ball, most of the time it's something that's on the ground. So all we do is we take the ball and we throw it at the ground. So in his head, he thinks it's like coming out of the ground. So when he finds something, that's why he's so excited to find something. He thinks that his ball is just going to come out at him and he'll be rewarded.
A lot of people think that on weekends.
So I'll just show you a little bit of healing and some of the obedience work that we do with them. And then we'll wrap up.
So hold on.
Yep. An important thing that we do is what we call a recall, which is, say I sent him to go apprehend somebody, and then the guy turns around and gives up. I want to be able to call the dog back, right? Somebody gives up, we don't want to bite somebody that's giving up. So we can do that by either stopping the dog or actually calling the dog back to a heel. Okay. Plats. So, like just, now, plats. Foos. Okay. So that's just a quick example of sending him after something that he really wants, like his ball, and having the capability to stop the dog or bring him back to me. And of course, that probably disappeared over there too.
It's underneath the rack. You can't get it. Oh, there you go. See the string. I thought it was
That's it.
We could try.
So we do a lot of simple obedience things like this. This is kind of the basis of everything, just having him listen. Sit. Having the dog just be able to stop and have me walk around him. Sit. We do hand and voice commands with them. He's not being a very good boy today. It happens. And so he just did all that work for me because he wants that thing. Like I said, everything we do is positive reinforcement. When the dogs work hard, we act like we're little children and we have very high-pitched noises. We get excited with them. We run around because to him this is all just a game. Everything we do is just a game, right? So when he does well, we jump around with him, get excited. It gets him more excited and more willing to work for us. Good boy. I think that's about it, because I do have to go home at some point. Is there any other questions before we leave? Sure.
Some of the commands you gave, I guess, were in German because he was afraid.
It's another thing I forgot to touch on. So I don't know. I don't know what word they are, but things like foos is heel, plats is down, sit is sit, and then some of there's other words that we use for like apprehension and stuff that aren't English. So yeah, he's multilingual.
How long does the ball last?
What's that?
How long does that ball on that string last?
Actually, believe it or not, they last a while. It's a matter of me not losing them. And then what happens is the string just falls off, so I have to put new string on it.
Oh, you can?
But these balls are actually from Czech Republic too, oddly enough. So they know how to make dogs and handballs.
So basically, this next week, the 24th, we'll be swearing in some of our newer officers. As the appointing authority, I want to introduce them to the public, like we're doing here today with Lukas. And when we swore Lukas in, I'm standing next to Polseno and Lukas, and I start to feel, I guess I was a little tasty that day. It was interesting, a little distraction.
He likes to nibble, so he found the back of the chief's leg interesting in front of the selectmen, and he was just very gently, but he was just nibbling. I'm like, but it all worked out well.
So much for that program, right?
And I also want to thank Officer Darrell Jones for coming, and Officer Sabati, who went with the senior center on their trip yesterday.
Awesome.
Joe does a great job. He's part of our community engagement group. We used to call it the community policing unit, but now it's the community engagement. We feel it appropriately signifies, what we're about. And we have a lot of, as I said, exciting community engagement events that are going to be coming up. So please, if you follow us on Facebook, you'll see we're having trivia to win a challenge coin, different things you can be involved in. But again, I want to thank you on behalf of your police department for inviting us here every month, and I look forward to seeing you in September. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.